Welcome to the Programmatic Digest, a podcast dedicated to reviewing industry trends and latest news in the programmatic and ad tech world. I'm Ellen Parker, your host and Chief Programmatic Sensei of Ellen Parker Consulting, where we offer one-on-one coaching or a 6-month training and development program in programmatic media to fit you and your team's needs. So thank you for joining us. Remember to subscribe right below and enjoy the show. Welcome, everybody. Thank you again for tuning in. This week, we have a very special guest, Mattia Foshi. How are you doing today?
Hi, Ellen. I'm very well. Thank you. How are you?
I am fantastic. Thank you. Thank you for joining us on the Programmatic Digest podcast. We have a lot to talk about this week. And before we get into today's conversation and your intro, this episode has been sponsored by WorkReduce. If you want to reimagine how to work in advertising, check out WorkReduce.com/careers. And now back to the episode with our special guest, Mattia. Before we get into today's conversation that's going to be geared around cookie-less targeting in a digital identity and privacy world, specifically in the European market, how about you tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do, but also how you got to where you are now?
Sure. Well, I'm not a marketer, and so I've been on a steep learning curve to understand a fairly complex sector. I'm actually a lawyer by training.
Oh, and, nice. Really cool.
Yeah, well, really? You're the first person who actually says that.
No, it is
Most
cool.
people yawn when I say lawyer. Anyways, it does help, though, because I think I understood where all the privacy regulation was going a little bit before other people, and some of the implications and some of the case law that came afterwards just kind of confirm our guesses. So it turned out to be a fairly useful skill to have, understanding the law. But yeah, generally, I'm a lawyer and with a little bit of entrepreneurial experience, but I got this. I kind of stumbled into this by just looking at how the data market was just kind of clashing with the law, and so there's an opportunity there.
Wow. And also, you are the founder and CEO of ID Ward.
Correct. Yes.
ID Ward, based on your website and on your LinkedIn, is mission-driven company using AI to help media publishers. So talk to us about ID Ward, how it came about, and also I know you mentioned the mission, but the really why. What drove you to founding ID Ward?
Well, I think I'll probably need to update the website. I think the best way of thinking about it is as a tech platform that enables publishers and advertisers to build their own private networks within which they can see 100% of audiences. They're almost like logged in audiences. They can see everything they do. They can target them, retarget them, measure conversion, etc., in a way that is 100% privacy compliant. Now, that ties into the mission, privacy, because the whole point, I think I became passionate about privacy when I understood how data could be used to manipulate public opinion, not just on social, but even on the open web. And I just thought it was something disturbing into the way data was being used. And obviously, this isn't necessarily used by the legit people who just want to do business with, targeting, etc. But the fact that data has become a currency and anyone can grab a copy of that and then use it for whatever reason, I felt that was pretty dangerous and pretty appalling. So basically, we took an ethical stance in saying, well, look, data has to be a personal data is a personal right, as a human right, and people need to have real, true control over it. It just so happened that the world then developed and kind of moved in the right direction. So what was an ethical stance now is a very, very sound business stance as well.
So when the whole privacy, all of the privacy laws and regulation came out in the last few years, whether in the European market or in the US market, where I'm based, you were already on top of it. You had already founded ID Ward, or was that one of the reasons why you founded ID Ward?
Well, I think the GDPR came into force in 2018. Therefore, the opportunity materialized after the law was there. The thought process probably started there before, but the company was founded after that. But what's really changed it for us is not just the regulators. The regulators really poorly understand the tech. They write this kind of fuzzy
Yeah.
stuff and then nothing really changes. It's that the platforms are changing the technology. So it's the Google switching off the cookie and Apple switching off
Yeah.
IDFAs and all that. That's been a game changer for us.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. All right. So I'm really excited about this conversation because I don't, and I hope y'all not going to judge me for this. I hope you're not going to judge me for this, but I know enough of privacy to understand why it is so important to respect it and understand why consent driven advertising is so important. And I'm honestly a big fan of consent driving, data driven. But for somebody listening to the podcast, can you even take it a step uh, back to explain? We understand the origins, but like in your own terms, why do you think it ever happened, or why do you think it happens now? And then what are some specific steps we can do to become, consent driven from a buying, so from an advertiser side and a publisher side?
Aha. Two difficult questions. Why it's happening now?
Yeah.
I guess it's a mix of factors. I think this has been going on for a while, but there have been certainly a number of developments, notably Facebook, Cambridge Analytica scandal, and
A good point.
some
Yeah.
other examples where kind of it just gave it a push, and then kind of the broad public understood what the implications of not having any control over the data are for society. Regulators are slow. I think they've been starting to look at this stuff in Europe at least 10 years ago,
Oh,
but it took them time to wrap their heads around the tech, and also they gave some time to the industry to try and adapt to what the changing perception, changing expectation of the public sphere. Um, so we are now in a situation where we are being pushed gently or not so gently pushed into a different direction. But a lot of businesses and a lot of companies are struggling to adapt their tech stack and their business models to a new reality. And I think only that is opening an opportunity for startups to innovate. It's not just an opportunity for us, it's a need. Because if we don't innovate as an industry, and I put myself into programmatic, the truth is it will die. I'm sorry to be so blunt, but kind of I speak with agencies every week and they say programmatic is a mess. Why don't we just shift more and more
if
budgets to
you direct,
social
yeah,
because
yeah,
it's
yeah,
easier?
yeah. And what do you say to them when they say that? Asking for a friend.
Well, I'll say to them, you're missing massive audiences and really good insights. You're essentially neglecting and forgetting about billions of people who spend a lot of time in the places that they trust more than a social media feed.
Yeah.
Um, you've got to reach those audiences on the right publishers because your brand will be better, your conversion will be better. But I fully accept we're not quite there yet.
Yeah, yeah, of
Um,
course. And it's a journey, it's not a destination in my opinion. So yeah, I think I've had similar conversation with some of my agency partners. I have a consulting business as well where I help agency partners increase their revenue, improve employee retention, and like revamp their operation. And simply said, what I do is with the experience I've gained as a programmatic media buyer and director in the programmatic field specifically, I'm able to like look at an agency and how they're running things internal from running a campaign all the way to selling and help them implement like system and processes. And so when I came across interviewing you, I was really excited because privacy is really big conversation that I have with some of my clients, especially on the first party data, since that's very specific to like running a campaign or pulling a strategy or overarching or overall objectives for our clients. So give me three advice that you maybe can give me to have with my clients or
mhm.
anybody listening about, all right, when when we see something that we may not be okay with when it comes to I'm going to call it consent driven marketing, consent driven data. What are three things we want to make sure to express in the moment to let the client know that, hey, this might not be a extensive priority right now or your first priority, but it should definitely be very, very soon because of these.
Wow. Um, I guess the pitch will depend on the client, right?
Oh, good. That's good. Yeah.
So if you're an agency speaking to a consumer-facing brand,
Yeah.
certainly there's an element of brand reputation that you don't want to compromise. That's I think that's has to be number one thing. There's certainly the Gen Z, even the millennials are literate enough to understand what it means when a brand doesn't really take care about their data. So they need to spin that story in a way where they want to be at the forefront and to some extent pushing agencies to be more privacy compliant because it's a choice that pays off in terms of consumer perception and brand positioning. I'm not saying this is number one. I'm just listing it in no particular order.
No, that's good. Okay. Yeah.
The
That's
second
good.
thing is, at least in Europe, as remote as this might sound, a 4% fine on global turnover generally far outstrips the programmatic budget of any or ROI of any campaign,
Yeah.
right? So a brand really needs to be very, very careful that if there is any breach, small or big, it can result in pretty hefty fines.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's number two. I think number three is actually you want to look at the opportunities of embracing some of the new technologies that are coming at you because programmatic has never been a particularly effective. It's been reach and scale, but you can measure ROI super well. We know that cookies in particular have been a very poor short-term solution that then have become the norm. But you do have, even in a cookie-full world, 40% of cookie don't sync. So it means that you're losing 40% of audiences already. And to an extent, you just kind of it's cost of doing business. What it shouldn't be. And if you come into the kind of if you join the bandwagon of the new solutions that are being developed, not only they can be more privacy preserving, but it can also give you better return on investment. Maybe you don't get the same scale to begin with, but you can scale it because your influence, your position can build a better ecosystem.
Right. And I think that's you mentioned cookieless world. So I think I'm gonna use that opportunity to shift a little bit and segue into a cookieless targeting. I honestly know this is a really important topic to have, but I've grown bored of talking about it for many reasons, right? We overdid it at the beginning of 2020 and 2021 with cookieless targeting. You need to try this and that. And so for this particular reason, let's talk about Google. Let's talk about Apple. Let's talk about like the future of the open web. What is your perspective on first the open web? Do you think it's going to last? Do you ever think that our programmatic media world is going to shift from open web to like direct only because of privacy concern?
So first of all, I'm sorry that you suffer from cookieless fatigue. But
It's
like everyone has it's a drama because we've been talking about it so much, and there's
yeah.
been this anti-climax of Google going, oh well, actually, I
Yeah.
changed our mind. We're going to do it in 2023, and some people now are speculating, oh, maybe they postpone it again. Well, I don't think they will. The point being, are you just wasting time? It's not problem solved; it's problem postponed. And in the
Yeah.
meantime, you're still losing audiences on Safari and iOS, etc. The I think they're going to be very blunt,
Yeah,
right?
go for it.
If you this might ruffle some feathers of Europe, but I think the open web is dead.
Hey, I'm Ellen Parker. What if I tell you for $75 a month, you get to join a community with other fellow programmatic ninjas, successful ones that are looking to grow, ones that are looking to share what they know and learn from others. Would you be interested? And I get to coach you through your transformation, coach you through the skill set that you need to know in order to get where you want to get. Either is that raise, either is that promotion, either is even like a different job, right? So I'm not a recruiter, y'all. I'm not a recruiter. I'm one of you. I've done what you've been doing for at least 10 years, and I'm here to help you. And in the midst of things, some of my friends from the Programmatic Digest podcast, some of those guest hosts get to come. How many times have you listened to any other podcast and say, dang, I wish they could elaborate on this or I could ask this? Well, you get a chance to do that in the community. Just for $75 a month, we meet weekly, we grow weekly, we learn weekly, we share authentically, just being ourselves. You know what I mean? Like, try the first call on me, DM me, send me information, head over to the programmatic meetup that programmaticmeetup.com, I know you'll be able to find it anyway. So see you next Friday. Oh, wow. Why are you saying this? Talk to me. Tell me more.
Well, if you define open web as the ability to share information and data about audiences so that you can find them wherever they are, build this 360-degree view of the consumer and omni-channel targeting and that. It's just not going to work. Technically, it's not working already. It's kind of slowly dying, but it's dead. There is no future for it. Because the fundamental principles of the regulations that are then driving the changes Apple and Google are using to protect their position or even increase their market share are such that legal entities cannot share information about the consumers unless there is consent. And there cannot be consent by a user to say, I'm going to allow you to share my data with hundreds of companies who in turn can share it with hundreds of companies, because that's the nature of programmatic right now. You can make a copy of data and you can share it and you can combine it, you can infer stuff, etc. That just doesn't fly.
Right.
It's not okay. And therefore you have Google and Apple, or the police self-proclaimed policemen of the world. You just go like, well, we're going to shut off that technology, whether it's the cookie, whether it's fingerprinting or whatever you want, whatever next gig the ad tech industry comes in, they're just going to come and shut it down because they can. The only thing you have to look at is this fine line between shutting everything down too quickly and too dramatically, so that the antitrust of the world are going to go like, oh, well, you're quashing competition. So they are in a difficult position. Yeah. They've committed to supporting privacy preserving ad tech in the future, whether it's first party data or cohorts, whatever it is. So there's going to be a shift. But the shift is going to create a reality that's different from the open web as we describe it today.
So you're saying the open web is going to disappear. And how long are you giving us before this happens? How long is your prediction? Gotta give me some date.
Well, I mean, as I said, it's already kind of dying because you already have, in some countries, 50% of the market that's not available, right? So in a sense, it's already dead. But if the question is, when will people be unable to use cookies or device IDs to target entirely? I give it 36 months tops.
Okay, about 2 years and a half. 3 years. 3 years and a half. Or 2 years.
Okay. Tops. Yeah, on the web, it will be less than that. Probably Android will stay for a little bit longer, but people will have changed stack by then.
That is very interesting, guys. So a year and a half from now, or 2 years from now, we'll probably, I will have you back before.
I'm on record on that. So people are going to email me in 2 years like, yeah.
That's it. It's going to be out in the web now. You can't take it back. Oh, man. Okay, so how do we prepare? How do we prepare for this? How do you think we should prepare as an industry, as an advertiser, as a marketer? How do you think we should prepare for this? Because it is going to affect open web disappear. It will affect a lot of the agency clients. It's going to affect some brands. It's going to affect some DSP. I mean, the Trade Desk is one of the leader in terms of like the open web and supporting the open web, but at the same time, helping that wouldn't be, but helping elevate up on the publisher side and helping them monetize the best they can. So what can we do in this world? What can we do if open web will disappear, or once it disappears?
One of the problems of this industry is that it's so fragmented that there is no real leader that can change things other than the platforms. They always change things to their own advantage, right? So we don't want to wait until Google forces a solution upon us or Apple does, which is kind of what's happening. So we need more leaders. Yeah. We need people who are bold enough to say, right, okay, I understand that maybe the way I make most money in the next quarter is still using the cookie or whatever it is. Maybe I can kind of sneak in some sort of universal ID or whatever, even if I know that it might not be 100% compliant. But at the same time, I need to test stuff that I know, tech solutions, approaches that I know are going to last more than 24 months, 12 months, whatever it is. And if they work, I need to put my weight behind them so that they scale, because it doesn't matter if you have really cool tech. If it doesn't scale, you can't do business, right? So we need people to feel like they can be leaders. You don't need a Google to do it. You just need enough brands to push it, enough publishers to embrace it.
Okay, you just dropped a big bomb on us. So leave us with two advice, two or three advice to for us again that are in a situation where we depend on the open internet. Leave us with actually not only on the open internet, on anything, how to be more privacy forward or privacy advocate forward, how to everything based on our conversation. If anybody had to, let's say, drop in the next 30 seconds or a minute, what would you tell them? And then after that, we'll go into our closing segment.
I'd say put the consumer first at the center. Don't look at privacy as a hindrance. Look at it as an opportunity,
Yeah.
and find those solutions that are serious about consumer privacy. I can deliver marketing benefit for you,
Yeah.
but then align your interests with those of the consumers. And once you find them, just go all in, support them, help them grow.
Got it.
That's my first and second advice, I'd say.
Yeah, that's bomb. That's great. We have so much. I think we're gonna have to have you back before 2 years and a half, okay? Because we still have a
Okay.
lot of questions.
At
But
least you can ha me and say you were wrong.
I am going to say that I know that the open web will. I honestly and professionally don't think it will disappear 100%. But I can agree with you that it's going to, that percentage is going to shift down and shift down and shift down. But yeah, let's see. Let's see. Maybe it's just me being very
We're just gonna
optimistic.
call it something else. I'm not saying
Oh,
everyone's out
true.
of business at all. I'm just saying the open web as we see today, with this free exchange of data, etc., that's gonna
Oh yeah,
die.
yeah,
Publishers, agencies, brands are still gonna use the internet and the metaverse, whatever comes after,
yeah.
of course.
Gosh, yeah.
But it's not what we have today. It's going to be a completely different ecosystem.
Oh
That's
yeah.
my message.
I honestly think that in a year and a half from now or less, every time you will log into a browser or a computer or whatever. I mean, not a computer, but a browser or into a publisher, you will have to sign in, like period. And it is going to become more deterministic versus just probabilistic at this point. And so, how open is the open web when you're logging into a browser, you're logging into your publisher that is a network, right? You're logging into one network that feeds into the publishers at the bottom. Like you're still logging in. So all of those publishers have the ability to know who it is. So again, it goes back to that privacy concern, but at the same time, it's like if you're signing up to consume content, I feel like it's only fair that you tell us who you are. Okay. I would rather you giving me your permission to advertise and serve a message that's relevant to you based on the information you gave me versus just me continuing to guess with, third party data here and there. So I agree with you. I definitely think it's not going to look the same, but that's what growth is all about, right? Like we haven't had anything, even in traditional TV or radio, there've been growth over time with those media. And it's only natural that in digital media, we're continuing to progress. Now, like you said, we're going to have to put the consumer first. And as marketer, first of all, you should always put the consumer first. Okay. With private, I mean, before even the privacy concern thing happened, how are you're marketing to them? You have to be relevant to them while putting your brand integrity first, of course, but you have to remember that consumer on the end because they're the one who's going to make that brand a win or not a win. So yeah, I appreciate your shares today because I think it gives us a different perspective. And I love the fact that you brought your experience. Honestly, I think it's really cool that you're a lawyer. I think
Oh wow.
it's
Bless you.
really cool,
Okay.
But yeah, I
Lawyer,
love it.
lawyer, you
So
can call them anything, but not cool.
yeah,
Unless it was a suit that TV series. But yeah, okay, cool. Well,
I'm
thanks for that. Um, but I
I'd
want to
love.
pick up on that comment you made
Go
about
ahead.
logging in, right?
Mhm.
Because that's the same. When you put consumer first, you cannot force them to log in. If the average consumer reads 30 different sites a week, I think it's 26 is the average. They can log in 26 times, right?
Yeah,
Many often they will bounce off. So that's where tech companies need to improve
yeah.
their offering. You need to protect the user experience. We patented a one-click, effectively a login, which is not longer, but whatever, one-click login, super smooth, but it works the same way. And then on top of
Mm.
that, but that doesn't solve the privacy issue because the privacy issues, even if you log in, you still need to exchange data with other companies, etc., etc. Do I really need to? Do I really know the companies you're sharing my data with? No. whether I log in or not, it doesn't matter. The
Where we go
privacy issue is
here.
still a problem. So the next step we've done is anonymize all the data on the consumer device. That's to me, it goes in the way of Web3, decentralization, all those buzzwords that are moving trillions on the blockchain. It doesn't necessarily use the same tech, but it's the same principle. Decentralize, keep as much as you can on the device, you can achieve the same marketing goals. That to me is the direction of travel. And
Mhm.
but it's upon us, the innovators, to make that user experience better, both in terms of giving you the products and services you want, but also making sure you don't have to do anything special to protect your privacy. It has to be done by default.
Yeah. Okay, that's a good point. Wow, that's a great point. Yeah, thank you for sharing that. Yeah, I don't know how else to end this conversation better than this. This was great. Let's move into the closing segment because I do want to be respectful of your time. I like to ask for one fun fact of every guest about themselves. So share with us one fun fact about yourself.
Gosh, this is the hardest. See, that's because I'm a lawyer. I'm not fun. Can
Stop
you can you
it.
can you edit this out? Like what is a fun fact?
All right, so
Hmm.
let me rephrase the
No,
question.
no, just give me an example of what a fun fact would be.
Okay, so what is something when you get off of work, you close your computer, you look forward to? And that might not be a fun fact, but share something where when you get off of work or on the weekends, you never miss a soccer game. Like you have soccer practice every Saturday morning with the buddies, and then after that you get a beer, or you play baseball, or I don't know. What is something that you look forward to outside of work?
Okay, well, I'm a big sports person. So
Okay.
the thing that I look forward the most is surfing. Um,
Oh wow, cool. That's awesome.
yeah, yeah. And so the fun fact is that 12 years ago I moved to the UK
Hmm?
and I probably surfed 20 times in 12 years.
Oh
Um,
wow. Okay.
which is horrible. I've been dreaming about it again and again and again. It's like I feel that I'm too old, so I go back into the water every now and then, and I see these kids that are like 100 times better than me, and I feel like I've grown old, and my passion is still there, but my skills aren't quite what they used to be. So
I'm gonna
come
encourage
to
you to just
terms with.
do it. Who cares if the young kids can do it better? Who
I
cares?
know it's the cold water in the UK that
Uh,
freaks me out. It's not
oh
more
yeah.
than anything.
I have nothing to say about that. I'm from West Africa, so I don't do cold really well. I don't do
Yeah.
cold at all, actually. But okay, so okay, another question I like to ask is a what if game. So it
Yeah.
goes along with what we just discussed. So the example I like to use is like, what if? It's like when you say what if, it's like expressing gratitude for a goal that you're gonna meet, but it's like an impossible goal. Like it's a big dream with no limitation. Like the sky's the limit here. Okay. So
Mhm.
my what if is retiring my mom by this June, which is less than five and a half months away, meaning I get to pay for all her bills and have her travel whenever she wants to go see her sisters, because literally her sisters are across the world. There's one in France, there's two in Africa, and one over here. Actually, they're just traveling, and so that's one of my goals. In addition to taking care of my family. So, what would be your what if?
Yeah. I'll be stupidly ambitious here.
Do
What
it.
if what if we can build a completely different internet where we protect people's rights and empower them to be more aware of how they can be manipulated, more resistant to fake news. And by doing that, we just create a less polarized, more civilized society.
Mm, that's good.
I
That's
know,
really good.
highbrow, huh?
Yeah,
But
yeah, yeah.
it's
No,
what
it's
motivates
high.
me.
It's high. It's high. I think it's a great motivation to have, and I think we need people like you in our industry to remind us that hey, this is actually bigger than you. Okay, this is actually bigger than 9 to 5. It goes back to a lot more. So we definitely appreciate the expertise you have. We appreciate just your presence in this industry. And if you had to give yourself, I guess, if you had to give younger self or your freshman self an advice when you first started in the industry, what would that be?
Listen more,
Ooh, that's good. That's good.
try to impress less, and be
Mm,
patient.
that's good. Let's listen more, be patient, and try to impress. Okay, just be humble. Like be
Yeah,
humble enough to
it's a
learn.
path. Yeah, I was always in a rush to show that I was better than my position or smarter
Oh,
than
wow.
whatever. That's
Got it. Okay.
that it's unnecessary stress for me and people around me. I learned to be humbler and to listen more.
Excellent, excellent. Well, thank you so much for dropping by. I know I had some camera situation and you stayed focused. You were not letting that distract you. So I thank you so much. And then as always to our listeners, if anyone was interested in having a conversation with you, how can they do that?
Oh, just drop me a line. You can find me on LinkedIn. I think there are probably two people in the whole world with my name, Mattia Foschi. So if you're in this industry, add me on LinkedIn, and then check us out on idwar.com and drop us a line on the sign up form. We'll reply within 24 hours.
Great, great. And all of Mattia's information would be in our show notes and on social media when we'll start promoting in a few weeks. So thank you so much again for dropping by, and you have a wonderful day.
Thank you, Ellen. You too.